Well, I think I am going to get started, if that's okay with our producers. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk with the Rabbi. I'm Rabbi Dennis Sasso of Congregation Beth-El, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this morning's conversation. I'd like to welcome everybody who has joined us. I see several members of our Refreshing Judaism class. We're delighted to have you with us. And this is a very important component of your preparation for Jewish living. Our guest this morning is my friend and colleague, Evan LeBline, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Hooverwood, a leading nonprofit organization which includes the operation of Craft Commons, at the dedication of which I had the honor to participate some years ago. Evan has been working in the senior care industry since 2005. He began his journey at Hooverwood in December of 2017, coming to Indiana from the Wilds, a Montefiore senior living community located in Cleveland, Ohio. Under Evan's leadership, the Wilds had a record occupancy throughout the continuum of care, which included skilled nursing, assisted living, and assisted living memory care. And under his leadership, that institution received 5 consecutive deficiency-free Ohio Department of Health surveys. Evan is a member of our congregation, I am proud to say, married to Caitlin, and they have a beautiful daughter, Scarlett, who was my first baby naming after the pandemic started. So we are delighted to have you all with us this morning to welcome Evan. I'd like to recognize Lori Pop, the Executive Director of Jewish Family Services, as well. Evan and Lori are dear colleagues with whom I work, and all the rabbis in the community and professionals work very, very closely. Evan is going to share with us a PowerPoint about Hooverwood Living, and I am sure that he will address many of the issues that, that have become particularly significant given the pandemic. And I look forward to the presentation, and then we can engage in conversation and Q&A with Evan. Thanks again to Shari Levine and to Jackie Goldstein for keeping us connected this morning. Welcome everybody, and feel free at any moment to go for your cup of coffee and continue the conversation. Evan, I'm turning it over to you. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Rabbi. So what I thought I would do this morning would be kind of give you a little brief description of what's going on currently inside the doors of Hooverwood, address a little bit of the COVID challenges, and then be able to answer any questions that you all might have. So Hooverwood Living, we've been Hooverwood for over 100 plus years. And about 2 years ago, we made the decision to really embark on a strategic plan to really evolve ourselves from just more than your mom and pop type of nursing home. And that's when we became Hooverwood Living with a brand new logo. Kind of a little phrase that I tell the team always, it's, you know, we're here for you today, tomorrow, and always. I don't know how to turn the page. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Little challenge right here with this. Hold on. Jackie, do you know how to turn the page? That would probably help on my part.
It depends on your computer. So give me one. What kind of, do you have a Mac or do you have?
A Mac.
Okay. Hold on one second.
See if I do it this way. Hold on.
Do you have, try an arrow.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. I'm not good with IT. Let's see. Better? If I do it this way?
Yeah.
You see it? Okay. We'll try it this way if I have to So sorry about that, everyone. So Hooverwood Living, I'll kind of give you a little Hooverwood Living 101. We are a nursing home. It's a 155 bed nursing home. It's a assisted living, which is called Craft Commons, which is our 26 apartments. We have adult day services. We have transportation services. We have wellness programs for individuals that need therapy from the outside that come into Hooverwood. We have grocery store delivery. We have a Wheels with Meals program. We have a Tech and Talk to help older active adults who need help with iPads and FaceTimes. We have a care management.
You need to sign up for that.
What?
I need to sign up for that.
It's becoming more and more popular, and I think that unfortunately with the pandemic, we have seen the need for this. So we are excited that we were able to start that. It's actually a free service at this time. So anyone that needs help, just let us know. Care management and navigation program, meaning that if you need help in navigating through this tough, challenging world of healthcare, call us, we'll help you out. We were doing catering programs before the pandemic, and we have about 5 office spaces that people can use for room rentals in our organization. And then coming soon, in late 2021, we'll have hospice services. So, 2019 and 20 was an interesting year for Hooverwood. We had remarkable year-over-year growth with our admissions for our short-term rehab, meaning people from the hospital wanting to come to Hooverwood. We reopened the Adult Day Center, which was closed for about 4 or 5 years before I arrived. We opened, as I said, Craft Commons, our 26-bed assisted living facility. And one of the most important pieces of this is we developed a strategic plan to ensure future growth for our organization, which is really an important part of my presentation about where we want to go and really honestly where we need to go. Bobby and Zadie's Playroom was established, and we had a remarkable program that Rabbi Sasso helped us out with regarding a mezuzah on every door in our whole entire organization. So things were looking really, really good. Then, unfortunately, March 9th, 2020, kind of our world changed. Hooverwood Living had to close its doors. We were one of the first homes in Indiana to actually close its doors when the pandemic arrived. No families would be allowed for over an entire year to come into the facility. It was days ahead of where other organizations were. March 13th, the CDC and Health Department made the decision across the country, no visitors would be allowed. We were planning for this for quite a while. Our facility and our organization was in a complete growth mode, as I was saying. Our census sat on that particular day of 144 out of 155. So we were a very, very busy organization on March 9th. COVID was very, very challenging for healthcare organizations across the country. United States recorded its first COVID death in February 2020. COVID exposed senior living because without proper PPE and true testing for both our staff and our residents, we were already behind. Hooverwood recorded its first COVID case on April 1st at 7 p.m. And I remember where I was sitting when the phone rang and our vice president of clinical service gave me a call. I kind of knew it. But I will tell you, one of the things with Hooverwood and being proactive was we were holding and planning meetings to discuss not if, but when a COVID case would enter our facility, what we would do. And we were in contact with our medical director, our nursing team, and our board regarding truly what would we do. So the key thing for Hooverwood throughout this process and our response really was to be transparent. We were reporting a number of cases of both residents and staff way before you actually had to. And that was one of the things. We didn't want to hide anything. There was nothing to hide because it was something that was really bound to happen in our senior living facility. We have to do daily communication to residents and families on a number of cases, residents and staff that test positive for it. Currently we are doing weekly testing. Weekly testing for our staff is very challenging because we have to hire an outside nurse to come inside the facility to help us. It ranges anywhere between about $90,000 a month just to test our staff. But that is also to keep our staff safe, our residents safe, and allow our families to be able to visit Hooverwood. We developed a COVID unit, which was dedicated to residents that had COVID. We had staff that was just assigned for that area. And that was really key for our team, is to make sure we had the right people in place. We had daily meetings, calls, and Zooms to discuss planning for the days ahead. We were holding meetings almost about 6 days a week, 7 days a week, to discuss the challenges that we would have. Our medical director was involved from day one to help us navigate through this process. Our hospital systems were involved. And we did not accept any new admissions for over 45 days. So if we had a current resident that went out to the hospital, went out to the ER for any reason, we would take them back. But most of our challenges were moving people that were in our first or second floor up to our COVID unit. It was really important that we established right off the bat to how to help our staff, because those are the ones that are doing all the work. They're the ones that are coming blood, sweat, and tears every single day. We knew it'd be very hard for our staff to come in and accomplish such a goal that we were trying to achieve with our organization. So we developed the Hooverwood Cupboard, which was an emergency pantry for supplies, toiletries, and food, keeping staff from having to go to the grocery store. We were providing free meals each shift for our staff. We wanted to make sure that they were not hungry, they were not going home hungry. And we had probably about 45, 50 organizations throughout Indiana that were providing lunches for us and to feed our staff. We developed Perfect Fit Meals, which is an organization from Morrison who would provide healthy meal options for our staff to go home. Again, our biggest part of this was to make sure our staff was able to be fully functional the next day. They were working 12, 13, 14 hours, and we wanted to make sure we were taking care of them. We really wanted to make a commitment from day one to our staff. We knew how hard it was. I think the first day on April 2nd, after the COVID, we had 4 or 5 people that said they don't want to work in a COVID facility. And it was very hard. It was very hard to hire staff at that time. So we wanted to be committed day one. So we did things that were much different than other organizations throughout the country, but we made sure that our staff, they knew that we were here for them. What's really impressive with Hooverwood Living, I think, was that we never reduced any staff at all. As other organizations saw the challenges that were going on, and we would see, cutting staff by 25, 50% in our field, which was not uncommon, we decided to make the complete opposite direction of this. And we decided not to lay off any staff member. In fact, we actually hired more staff to help with the FaceTimes and the window visits. Staff is in full PPE, N95 masks at all times, even shields at this time. And again, testing would be done for our staff 1 to 2 times a week, depending on the county. So in Marion County, our numbers have gone down, but we still have to do testing. We want to make sure that nobody in our facility has to bring brought in. So what's next? Where are we going? How are we going to overcome the challenges of COVID and really the change in the landscape of senior living? So I think it's really important that we create our future, reinventing, as I would call it now, active adult services. We're not just taking care of older adults anymore. In 2021, we are planning on opening a brand new gift shop. It's a 24/7 approach, kind of like what you see in the airports with Hudson News, for staff and residents to enjoy healthy meals. We are excited because we are having hospice services to start to provide care at the most vulnerable time in someone's life, at the end of life. And I'm very pleased to announce that we have hired someone for the Director of Volunteer Services and Community Engagement. We believe there's a missing link in our community as far as helping individuals both inside the facility of Hooverwood, but also on the outside. And we want to help that out. We have hired what I believe is going to be an exceptional individual to help us really launch this new program and service. In the years ahead, one of the things we have to look at is a needs assessment for our community. What does our community need? What does our community not need? What do older adults need? And how do these services come about? And again, transportation. We have to be able to help individuals out getting to and from both adult activities, temples, programs around town. This is our new our Hooverwood Marketplace. This is the new gift shop that will be open 24/7. Hooverwood Marketplace is kind of our initial name of it. Healthy options, quick grab and goes. We have our famous Starbucks machine and our Hooverwood merchandise. So again, I was mentioning Hooverwood Hospice. It's going to be coming around at the end of 21. We'll be completely certified to take patients. We'll be able to take care of individuals both inside the facility and in the community. We have hired a dynamic director of hospice to lead this program. Hospice will be provided in the nursing home, in assisted living, and in the community. And that is where the volunteer program really is going to be established. We'll be taking care of both inside the facility and outside the facility, and also developing a junior volunteer program as well. And we are excited about that. That's part of the hospice guidelines, is to have the volunteer program. But it's up to us to really claim a bright future. As organizations around the country are closing up, collaboration, new ideas, and efficiencies are much needed. Social media is a big part of what Hooverwood does. Follow us on Facebook for our new videos and updates and what is happening at Hooverwood. We are going to have a new website to showcase all we do inside the walls and outside the walls of our facility. And just kind of showing you where Hooverwood has gone is Hooverwood was Googled over 22,000 times, either Hooverwood or Hooverwood Living, in just 1 month. So we are really excited about that. But again, we have to recommit ourselves to the community, redefine ourselves. We're not just taking care of older adults, and we have to rebuild. You know, I appreciate everyone. This has been a very tough year. Again, thank you for being by our side during this challenging year. But we are here when you need it, wherever you need it. So if that's inside the walls or in the community, we are here to help out. And, you know, it is important to know we are your one-stop shop for all your questions regarding healthcare. We can help you navigate through healthcare. It's very challenging, not knowing all the answers. We're here to help you out. Even if you choose not to select Hooverwood as an option, with all of our services that we can do both inside the walls and outside, we do feel we have the proper people to help guide you in the best direction. And that was my quick presentation of Hooverwood Living.
Thank you, Evan. That covered a great deal, so it addressed many of the questions that I had prepared for our conversation. I would like to say that I hope that you have made this presentation before and beyond this circle this morning. And if not, I think it's something that the rabbis in the community need to listen as a group through the Indianapolis Board of Rabbis. I would encourage that. And certainly at all levels of the lay leadership and volunteer spectrum. You have given us a lot of information about Hooverwood today and anticipation about things to come. You spoke about COVID, and you and I have had some contacts over that as funerals have taken place of residents in Hooverwood. Hopefully, we are beginning to see a breakthrough, some new directions as a result of the vaccination process. I'm wondering if you could just share with us, theoretically or more pragmatically, some of your thoughts on aging well. The whole process of aging is being redefined. What are some of your thoughts on aging well and a continuum of care plan at Hooverwood now that you're opening hospice as well as the living at Craft Commons? So if you could give us kind of your theoretical thoughts and any practical applications on the concept of aging well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. It's very challenging. You know, nursing homes have become, because of COVID, a dirty word. So people don't always want to come to a nursing home. In fact, we've probably become a very safe place to be. When I came here in 2017, you know, we were only your nursing home. We were only providing care when you needed it. Now what Hooverwood's trying to establish is we're going to help you out way before you even need it. So in your 50s and in your 55s and 60s, whether it's the wellness programs, transportation services, the grocery store deliveries, you know, the key thing of aging is making sure you're set up for success. What I have seen too much in my lifetime has been, you know, someone's at our facility, they go home, they don't have proper meals. they don't have proper questions and answers how to get the therapy they need. So it's setting up for success. So we are developing other programs such as RX2Go programs, where we will deliver medicine to your facility, to your house, to get you up to set for success. The key thing is we want to help you out way before you even need to go to the doctor, the ER. And we are working with St. Vincent currently behind the scenes on projects that will help people stay in their homes longer and get all the meals they need, the medicine that they need, the therapy services. And I think obviously it's very important through telemedicine, telehealth. We were awarded a significant grant by our Jewish Nursing Home Association of about $130,000 to develop telemedicine and telehealth approaches to make sure our active older adults are able to stay at home longer. Bouncing back to and from the ER is not going to be good for anyone in the future. So our telemedicine approach with our wellnesses, our choices with our Meals on Wheels programs, we feel that we're going to be able to help those seniors stay in their houses longer. But again, using the term more of active older adults, that 55 range, if not younger at times, unfortunately, we're here to help them out.
Thank you. You talked about the pandemic and the initiatives that Hooverwood took way ahead of official implementation of many of them. Hopefully, as I said before, we are going to be getting through. What lessons from the pandemic have you learned that might help Hooverwood and the people in the community move forward as we enter hopefully more normal times? What did the pandemic teach us for non-pandemic living?
I mean, there's no question that the social and mental well-being of our residents in the facility has something we have to be able to take care of better in the future. For them not to be able to see their loved ones for a very long time is hard. So we have to go back to the basics of making sure we're helping individuals out throughout their whole time, whether it's the healthcare piece of it, the social aspect, the mental health aspect. We have to be there for them. I don't know if there was a lot of lessons learned. I think we're still learning them, unfortunately. This has been new for us, obviously. We know that preparing for these challenges are something that we never thought we would have to have a PPE in our facility. But I think as a community, it's collaborations, efficiencies. What do we need to do? What do we need to stop doing? But we're here to really figure out what is the community needs are and how do we address those situations. We know that from a financial aspect, it's been very hard. So our continued efforts of raising more funds to be able to do those items, such as I said, with the employee staffing situations, the community testing, unfortunately, of the 90,000, is trying to get out there to show people why it's so important to help Hooverwood out during their most challenging times.
One of the things that we have learned as a synagogue is pretty much along the lines of what you have said. At one time, the expectation is that people would come to the synagogue. Now we have to bring the synagogue to people. And I have a strong feeling that that will continue to be the case in significant ways after the pandemic, because we have not only raised expectations, but created a new reality, even if we were forced to do so. So my sense from what you are saying is that Hooverwood will be portable in significant ways.
We have a strategic plan that's based on just helping people in the community. It's very important that we figure out what do we need to do? What do we need to stop doing? Duplicating things that we were doing before regarding some of our therapy services. We want to figure out what do we need to do? What do we need to stop doing? Our challenges that we've seen in senior living has been, I think through the pandemic, I've seen 3 large Jewish nursing homes across the country close up. And it's to figure out what were they doing before that was causing those challenges? How do we stay afloat? It's important to me that Hooverwood is around for another 50 years, 100 years. So looking at those things overall, making sure that we are providing the best care possible for our seniors inside the facility is critical for our success.
How old is Hooverwood now? I think you may have mentioned it. But...
In 1902, we moved down to Hooverwood in 1970, and we became Hooverwood Living about 2 years ago.
Wow. So you're a senior living facility, huh?
We sure are. We are probably a hidden gem among the Jewish nursing homes across the country. we have not been exposed to a national level. We do a lot of amazing things at Hooverwood. The team has done an amazing job. One of my goals is to show that off throughout the country of what we're doing. We don't want to be a hidden gem anymore. We don't want to be the mom and pop nursing home. We want to show people that we're a vibrant healthcare facility that can take care of older adults through their stages of life. So we are getting exposed in many areas. We have our telehealth grant shows us, we are awarded again out of, I think, 15 nursing homes in the country, that we are here to help people out and really help move our community forward.
I think it's important to get that message out. There was an article, I'm sure you saw it in the New York Times a couple of days ago, that highlighted some of the challenges and major problems faced by nursing homes across the country. And they highlighted a few Jewish nursing homes. Perhaps a follow-up story would be the successes of facilities, and you can initiate that conversation. Would be very significant.
We want to tell our story way before it happens. Our videos during COVID and our vaccination videos, which got, I think, almost about, I don't know, a couple of thousand views, was important to show people that we are here for them. The stories that are out there are horrible, they're sad, but there's a lot of good. Our story about the husband and wife that was 97 and 98 reunited and beating COVID probably is not going to be talked about as much as other horrible stories. So it's sad, and we know that we have to tell our story before it gets out there.
I did not know that Lori Ann Pop Moss would be with us this morning. So this is off the top of my head redirection of the conversation, but I think staying right on target. I'm sure that you and Lori converse and cooperate a lot on issues of care of elderly in the community. What are some of the issues of conversation, Evan, that you and Lori have? And then I'll ask Lori to just offer a few thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think there's always things that we can do together, whether she sees someone that's in the community that needs nursing home or assisted living. It's an easy phone call away. We have a lot of individuals that could utilize their pantry area for better collaboration. So we're about a rock store away. So we are very close. Any discharge planning they can help us out with. I think in the future, there's more we can do together. And I think we have to do those things because that's how a community grows. Two great organizations working together can only make our organization stronger for the future.
Thank you. Lori, any thoughts?
Thank you, Dennis. No, I think Evan said it perfectly, and I wholeheartedly agree. This is a way that we definitely can be working together.
Well, you realize, of course, that you have many people who want to partner organizationally and individually, and we sometimes need your guidance and direction on how best to do it. So keep us informed. Let me pause for a few moments and see if there are any questions from our participants this morning. Mike, did I see you raise your hand in the back there? No? Okay. Sherry, I see you. This is Sherry Levine, Sherry Beth Levine, Lip Levine, our executive director, for those of you who might not know. Go ahead, Sherry.
So I happened to be watching the news yesterday, and they were saying that there's been a shortage of nurses to go into homes. And so I'm sure you saw this. And so they've been having to have people be admitted to nursing homes because they can't receive the care, their in-home care. Are you finding that that's the case? And I think it was locally, and we had all this money and they didn't use the money to train the people and things like that. So are you finding that? There's
a huge healthcare shortage right now. I mean, nurses, we're probably honestly about 15 nurses short of where we want to be at Hooverwood. A lot of home care nurses are scared to go into the homes because they don't know if they've been vaccinated. So yes, I mean, I had lunch for the first time in over a year with an ER physician, And the concern is people going to the ER. And so, yeah, I mean, we are seeing a lot of people, long-term residents, that want to come, as one family quote saying, it's the safest place to be because 98% of our residents, 98.1% of our residents are vaccinated. So they want to come to a safe environment. They don't want a nurse that is not vaccinated coming into the facility. So with 98% of our residents vaccinated, people feel comfortable. Unfortunately, our staff sit right around 38, 39%, which is right around, unfortunately, the average in the country. As I figured that one might come up. It's disappointing, but it's really right where it is. So people do want to come to a nursing home. And I think that's what's exciting about our future. But the home care, although booming in other states, probably not as much in Indiana. I actually have a phone call with a home health care company. I think it's Monday or Tuesday to discuss kind of what you're describing, some of the challenges.
Thank you. Thank you. Evan, could you elaborate a little bit more on what is the relationship between Hooverwood as a nursing care facility and hospitals in the area? What is the level of interaction? How do you coordinate, aside from the individual patient being there and then coming back to Hooverwood? Is there any level of coordination between institutions, among institutions?
So every month I have a phone call with St. Vincent to discuss what's going on inside our facility, whether it's services and programs, or if there's care needs. You know, one of the key things, Rabbi Sasso, is, you know, when we make a mistake, not if, but when we make a mistake, how do we fix it? So we have, again, we have monthly phone calls with them. They have kind of a lead case manager that will let us know who wants to come to Hooverwood. And that's usually each day, it's about 5 or 6 people that want to come to Hooverwood. It doesn't mean that they actually come to Hoover, but 5 or 6. So we talk with them. The ERs have been a very big help for us, making sure people, if you don't need to go to the ER, you stay home. And that's a key thing. If you need to go to the hospital system and get admitted, we are in contact with them daily. We have a missions coordinator and a care navigator whose responsibility is to figure out how to work with the hospital to get them in the most appropriate setting. Again, not everyone needs to come right to a nursing home anymore. So maybe they go to the assisted living, maybe they go home with our Meals on Wheels and our grocery store delivery. It's that part of it. It's the care management and care navigation program. You no longer just have to go from the hospital to the nursing home. You could go straight home and let Hooverwood provide those services. And now with telehealth and telemedicine, that really allows us to really help out even more.
Do I see your hand going up, Mike? Or okay.
Yeah, you do. You do.
You have a question?
Well, I did have a question, and you kind of answered a bit. Hi, Evan. My name is Mike Kahn. I'm the medical director of Grant Blackburn Mental Health, which is a little community mental health center up in Grant County in Marion, Indiana. When COVID hit, we largely went to almost entirely telemedicine for both the delivery of psychiatric services and therapeutic services. And when we did that, we found all kinds of great benefits to it. We were reaching a whole client base that we didn't even know was out there. We suffered in some areas because it's really hard to deliver everything the way we did with that medium. But in a lot of ways, it was a great boon. We moved forward in a lot of different areas. For example, there's a whole population of child and adolescent patients who are parented by single moms who have 2 or 3 kids and couldn't get to us because they just couldn't bring the whole tribe. And so they were sitting at home suffering. But as soon as we opened up to telemed, they could certainly call us on the phone, or they could access us with their smartphone, and they could communicate to us and engage with us in this medium. And so therefore, you know, when we're heading, God willing, out of the COVID era, we're really lobbying hard to keep these video permissions as far as the delivery of care. In your world, have you found anything that was just, you know, so phenomenally improved with the inclusion of televideo services and telemedicine in the nursing home world that you're hoping you can hold on to?
I think, unfortunately, before March 9th of 20, we didn't do any telemedicine. We heard about telemedicine and telehealth, but it was one of those things, we put it to the side of our desk. We said we would get to it. And we just we didn't have a lot of technology savvy board members as well to help navigate us through that. So now that we have to do that, I think it's opened up our eyes, whether that's why we developed the Tech and Talk. It didn't take very long to realize that the Tech and Talk program went from starting up in the midsummer time, when it started to get 8 or 9 people. Our seniors and older adults in the community don't know how to do that. But you take that as an approach. And now with our telehealth and telemedicine grant, we could really figure out what do we need to do to meet those needs. So I think for us, we're just starting to get this grant really allows us to be open and thoughtful on what we want to do with it. Before this grant, I think we would have struggled to figure out how do we put together a $50,000, $60,000 pilot. Now that we have the amount that we were awarded, we are really excited. So I think we're trying to figure out a task force to see. I know that we can deliver these services both inside the walls and then outside the walls of Hooverwood. We see it right off the bat with our staff not feeling good and needing just to talk to a nurse. So we want to also open that up to our nursing staff as well, so they don't call off, because that's a big challenge, as you probably are aware of as well.
Certainly. In Grant County, about 20% of the population in Grant County is below the poverty line. And of course, in the seriously mentally ill population, it's much higher. I think 80-90% of the people are below the poverty line. And so we were very worried that the technology would be out there, but we were just shocked by how many people, even in that socioeconomic status, have a smartphone. And were able to deal with us. And we were able to get a grant through the FCC, which allowed us to station kiosks throughout Grant County that have been very helpful in getting people the technology. Not perfect, and we're having a little trouble figuring out how to keep these things clean and not destroyed. That's been a bit of a challenge, but it's been an adventure.
We're working with our hospital system on a couple pilot projects, a hospital out in Hancock County, to really figure out what do we need to do. They're helping us kind of launch some ideas behind the scenes that we're pretty excited about for the fall time regarding telemedicine and telehealth.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. I have a follow-up question. It's surprising to me that you mentioned that 90-something% of your residents are vaccinated, right? But only 30-some% of the staff. How does a health institution not have the authority to demand of its staff, or to require, instead of demand, to require of its staff that it comply with certain health prescriptions?
Yeah, it's one of those very, very frustrating things, Rabbi. We knew back when COVID started that eventually one day there'll be a vaccine, and we told people this is something that hopefully will be encouraged by the Department of Health and CMS, CDC. A lot of people read Facebook as a way to get their news. So people heard about the challenges, of the vaccine. A lot of our population that we work with, some of them have concerns with it, and it's something that we've talked about throughout the country with other CEOs. It's hard. We can't make it mandatory. We've talked to our lawyers. Incentivizing someone for $100 is not appropriate, really. Someone's life is worth more than $100 or for $50. We try to educate them as much as we can. Even some of our directors were concerned. A lot of people had concerns with it being out too fast. So all we can do is give them the ideal information. We had our medical director do some of our talks with them, but it's very hard. It's not easy. I report 38%, which seems low, but a lot of them work 2 jobs. So there's a very good chance, and we don't have access to that documentation if they've gotten it. So it's probably closer to 42, 43%. The national average is very low. It's about 30, 35%. Everyone's running into this. All we can hope and do is make sure that our residents are vaccinated. which helps the spread. We do our weekly testing or every other week testing that will help us out as well. And we'll see what happens in the years to come, if this will be mandatory or not. It's concerning in general, but we are happy with kind of our first effort with our flu vaccine or with our COVID vaccine to be at 38, 39, 40%.
Interesting. Thank you. I have a question that I don't know how exactly to frame, but you can take it in the direction that might be appropriate. You alluded to mental health issues. In what ways does an institution like Hooverwood address mental health problems among its residents? And at what point would a resident not be able to remain in the institution?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to touch base with Mike next week about some things. But it's not just our staff. Let me start forward. It's not our residents. Our staff has had a major challenge with this. This has been a huge issue with them. I think the mental approach for them has been horrendous of every single day dealing with this. With the residents, what we have seen is a lot more depression, unfortunately. Now that we have allowed visitors, we think that's a big part of it. Both of our major associations have said that they hope to see a major increase when it comes to staff for resident satisfaction now that families are allowed to visit again. But we struggled, and we know that honestly, as a association, I don't know if we've done enough for our residents. Not enough FaceTimes and activities would help get this. And you don't want to just give medicine to these individuals, but we realize that the smile on their faces really is a result of seeing their families. And I think that's a big, big part of this. And we will see an increase in the satisfaction from them. But this is something that we might have missed the boat on as an industry. And I know that's something that's going to be addressed in the years to come with senior living, is how to make sure that depression and social isolation is kept up to where it needs to be. But also, where was it when they were home? Again, we had 30 people move into Hooverwood. How are they in the home? Then they got here. So that's something for us to focus on. I think it's a strategic opportunity when it comes to social and mental health needs.
I'm going to ask one more question. You referred to the expansion into hospice living. Could you tell us a little bit more about the plans for that?
Very, very excited about this. We through our research, we found that there is a missing link in our community, not just for a Jewish hospice at end of life, but really hospice in general. There is not one key hospice provider in Indianapolis. And through our research and our feasibility study, which we did to ensure that we were going to be right on this path, our board made the decision to partner with a hospice organization in Virginia Beach to provide kind of that turnkey hospice approach. And we have to get certified. Overall, we're building a dynamic team of both leadership, nurses, and aides. And we will be able to take care of people both inside the walls and outside the walls at their most vulnerable time. A lot of people believe that hospice is something you have for 1 or 2 days before you die. It's actually the opposite. You could get on hospice 6 months ahead of time. We want to be a place that can provide education, that dying is part of the process, but we're here for them. We'll also be able to take care of people almost a year after someone passes away. Families need that support, and that's where we're going to be able to be. And that's where it comes into our volunteer program. And I think why we knew that link that was missing, we could help out. And then with hospice, we have to have a volunteer program to be able to have someone sit with someone when their family isn't around to take care of them. And those are those opportunities through hospice that we haven't seen. We'll be certified in late 2021, where we take care of about 5 people free, that we don't get paid for it at all. We get certified by Medicare. And then we will be able to provide services both inside and in the community. Our projections are there could be 30 or 40 people just in the community that need it. And we have average about 14 to 15 people on hospice inside our nursing home. So we're already providing those services. We just don't actually have that as a paid source to Hooverwood. And then again, we're going to be an area where we can educate the community that hospice isn't a bad thing. And then in addition to that, we are going to make sure that we have formal meetings regarding bereavement, And I think that's a really important piece that we have missed. And we are excited. This will be a Jewish hospice, but we'll take care of non-Jews as well, with a rabbi and other spiritual directors leading this.
That is very encouraging news. And I'd like to suggest, I'm sure it's already in your planning, that there be conversations with the local rabbis, as well as other clergy in the community, both for the staff and for families as needed, on religious approaches, the Jewish way of death and dying. And that's an area where I think the synagogues and the religious community can partner with Hooverwood. And I'd like to extend my support to that in whatever ways I can. Any other things, questions, issues that you would care to address? I see that Jenny Cohen, the senior Jewish correspondent of Indianapolis, is with us. Feel free to ask a question, Jenny. It's good to see you. Yes, but you're muted. There you go.
This isn't a question, but there is a really wonderful bereavement support group that meets once a month, and it is led by a woman who I don't know if she's still doing it, but she was leading a caregiver support group at Hooverwood. And she's been involved in hospice for more than 30 years, and she's just excellent. I'm just thinking that's a resource that's out there that's really wonderful. So I don't know if Evan is familiar with it or not, but that is something that's open to anyone. So it is a Jewish themed support group, but if we've had some people in there that weren't Jewish. So, but basically it's a, we try to bring up things like the saying Kaddish, and that, you know, maybe, so it is Jewish, but I'm just thinking that's something that people could do.
Thank you, Jenny. I saw that Lori posted a little response to that. Lori, did you want to add a word to that? No, there is.
That's the Hope and Healing group. It meets Paula Glansman Goldberg and Brenda Kenyon are the facilitators for that. Used to meet in person, and now it's meeting on Zoom. But yeah, I think
there have been,
it's a great way again for all of us in the community to work together.
There have been, you know, episodic groups that have met over the years, but a sustained effort, I think, as Evan is talking about, is a very important component of that. And especially now, as death has acquired a different face and a more, both a more immediate and at the same time, more distanced face. People are grieving in different ways than they used to. So this conversation is urgent and relevant. Before I conclude the conversation, are there any other questions or issues that anybody would care to raise?
I just want to add one more tiny thing, is that group has been pretty solid. It's been going on for at least 4 years, maybe 5.
Okay, thank you. Well, Evan, on behalf of all of us, let me thank you for what has been very, very informative and inspiring, and despite the issues that we are facing, a very hopeful conversation. It's a pleasure to have you in Indianapolis. We value your friendship and your collegiality, and we look forward to moving on to new heights of service and of achievement for our community. It's a pleasure to have you in conversation. I remember that a couple of years ago, you and Lori engaged us in conversation at when we had Cocktail Judaism live. So the conversation continues. And if there are any issues that we could be of assistance, support with through Beth-El Tzedek for sure, or the collegial community, we look forward to hearing from you and to your guidance and partnership. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you again, Shari and Jackie, for keeping us connected. A virtual hug to Scarlett, Evan. And I haven't seen her in a while. I can't imagine how grown up she must be.
She's 18 now.
Oh my God, 18 already, huh? Look at that, how a year passes. You mean 18 years or 18 months? Otherwise we are.
But right now she's acting kind of like a teenager, so I'm surprised. I'm just happy that she hasn't been screaming in the background.
An 18-month teenager. That's that's a challenge. Well, that's a joyful challenge to me. So best to you and Caitlin and to little growing Scarlett. Thank you all for joining us. We look forward to future conversations. Next week, we gather for conversation about Passover and preparations for the holiday, what is different, what's the same, and any questions that you might have. There are several opportunities for engaging and learning about Pesach through the synagogue, and we look forward to continuing with that. Those of you who join us for Cocktail Judaism, April 5th, I believe, I'm going to be interviewing Professor James Madison of Indiana University on the Ku Klux Klan in the Heartland, a very important topic of a new book of his. So have a good day. Enjoy the 1 hour leap forward. And perhaps we'll be a little bit more tired by the end of the day today than we usually are. But we are adaptable. We will overcome. Thank you all. Shavua Tov, a good week.
Thank you. Thank you.